So, thank you for joining us today. I just have to admit people, so sorry if I pause for a second. So thanks for joining us today for our webinar on perfecting your virtual tour. So it's brought to you by our team, SOLVA Senior Living. And I'm going to pass it over to Christine. So I'm actually Rachel with SOLVA Senior Living. My name says Christine, but I'm just using her account.
Hi, everyone. Hope everybody's doing good.
I can't hear you, Christine.
I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay,
You're
awesome.
good.
Hi, everyone. Christine here. For those of you who haven't met me, I am the founder of SOLVA Senior Living. Started it in 2013. I started it, well, actually 2012. So I started it in after working for Riviera and Leisure World and having a big background in seniors housing. I saw a need at the time people were asking me, can you help us navigate senior housing? So when I created it, for those of you who haven't heard the story before, I created it in a way where it was as impartial could be. I didn't want people to ever feel like, they were going to get this free service where I was going to benefit or we were going to benefit more at any other place. So I created a program where basically all the retirement residents cover the cost of our program and they pay the exact same amount, which is quite a bit less than other similar services. But I'm doing that because my ethics and my integrity guide me to say, you know what, I want to make sure that it's never perceived that we're guiding a prospect to a place that, is those places that are $10,000 a month. It's a small amount, and that means that we can be impartial in terms of guiding people to the right place based on their needs. So since we started SOLVA, I've done a lot of things to support local senior living. I really enjoy working with all the local retirement residences. We do partner with about 90% of the retirement homes in Ottawa. We are looking to expand outside of Ottawa, so we'll start to see more collaboration. I'm a big proponent and believer in collaborating and sharing ideas. I mean, our mission is we want you to do well. We want you to be successful. So that's really one of the reasons why we're bringing this forward today, because when we bring you a referral, we want to make sure that that it's the right fit for you and that you do well on your presentation with our clients. So since starting, I've had the privilege of working with a variety of people, people that many of you know today. Rachel has joined our team and she's been with our team for a few years now. Was on maternity leave with the cutie little Maddie, who is at home and causing a ruckus, going to be running around there soon. And the amazing Caroline Inman, who is pretty much our lead when it comes to working with the clients for SOLVA. And she does a tremendous job. So if you've ever had the privilege to work with Caroline, you'll know how amazing she is with the clients, that she approaches every situation with, ethics, integrity, wants to truly help liaise that client from, when they pick up the phone and don't know anything about retirement and long-term care, to trying to match and fit, make them, a good resident for your community. So that's kind of what we do, and that's why we're bringing it here today. And I'm going to leave it with the lovely ladies to take you through the program. For anybody who is, we did open this session up to people who are not partnered with us. If it's something that you want to know more about how SOLVA works and what we do, I think it's really fascinating. And I don't know if Caroline was going to mention it. Caroline once said to me, nod, or if I'm wrong, we did some kind of crazy number of participated in over 100 and almost 200 virtual tours this year. Not quite
On the
that
next
many.
slide.
What? That's
It's on the next slide. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going ahead of myself. Okay, I'll leave it to the ladies.
Wonderful. Thanks, Christine, for a good intro. So today we are going to talk about that virtual tour. I guess you can say it's been over a year since we were kind of had our world turned upside down. And whether you were doing virtual tours before COVID hit or you just started with COVID, when we all thought that this would last for a month or two, we're here a year later, still doing virtual tours, heading into what, our fifth lockdown? I don't even know now. We thought it was, since we've done so many tours, we thought we wanted to share with you guys kind of what we've seen and experienced with these tours so that you guys can take away some information, hopefully, and can maybe modify your tour or think, okay, I was doing an awesome job with this and that does work. So I'll just kind of start off with a little bit of the virtual tour. If anyone's heard from the RHRA, they just actually put out a sheet that says what to do in each color zone. And they are actually recommending for every color zone, except for green, to do virtual tours. So it's kind of what they want us to be doing, or you guys to be doing. And the thing with virtual tours is we used to have an hour to or more to sit down with the prospect, show them around the building. Now with the virtual tour, we have about 30 minutes, maybe less, maybe a bit more. And we're connecting with a demographic who aren't familiar with technology. I mean, kudos to a lot of seniors who have learned the technology this year, whether it's to connect with family or because they were looking for a retirement home. But it's also hard to connect through technology. I mean, we younger generations, it's a little bit easier, but I mean, we can criticize also the teenagers and their not true connections through technology. But yeah, as Christine was saying, we've actually, Caroline had the pleasure this year of attending several virtual tours with clients since March 2020, because of course we've shifted our online as well, and we attend the virtual tours with most of the clients. We found that most people are using kind of two platforms, either Zoom or Google Meets, and occasionally FaceTime. We could always dive deeper into each platform and what works best, what doesn't work well. But I think definitely Zoom and Google Meets, if everyone maybe agrees, that are probably one of the better options. So what we did is we listened to our feedback from clients because we have the pleasure of being able to ask them questions about their experience with the different retirement homes. And a lot of clients have actually solely based their decision on how the virtual tour went. So we thought we wanted to bring that information to you, and the lovely Caroline is going to kind of go through some of the feedback we've gotten, and we hope that it's either you can go, okay, yes, I've been doing that already, that clearly works, or maybe some new ideas to add. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Caroline. I'm going to see if I have to unmute myself.
Caroline, you're muted too.
Perfect.
Okay, hello. Although I can't see anybody, I genuinely do thank you for being here, for taking the time out of, I know, hugely busy days right now. I have had the pleasure and the privilege to be on, as of yesterday, 162 virtual tours. So I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I can certainly say with a little bit of authority that that I have learned what does work, what doesn't work, and as Rachel just mentioned, what families, prospects, are actually saying in terms of their experiences. So if you can just go on to slide 1, Rach. So the first thing, knowing the audience, I certainly hope when I give information out to you, I provide a full profile, but I know that I've also picked up the phone or emailed with you to say, you know, actually, I've learned more about Mrs. Smith, and it would be beneficial for you to really focus on X or on Y, because this is what's important to them. Now, for clients, I'm not bringing, you know, knowing your audience or knowing them before the virtual tour, if as much as possible, to do as much discovery with them before that is only a benefit for everybody. But you know, on the day of the tour, as part of your hello and introduction and what have you, being able to ask them, you know, what is really important to you, Joan? You know, I understand that that you love to read, so I'm absolutely going to show you our library, but is there anything else that, you know, you like to do that I can include in this tour for you, just to make sure that I can offer you, you know, the best sort of experience. Just on another side for this, it feeds into this next slide, but some communities are doing a mixture of a PowerPoint presentation along with or like a 3D video that either your company has produced or your independent building has produced. And we find that that is a lot more streamlined when you can start off the tour as well, saying, you know, again, we've done our hellos, we're doing our rapport, we're doing our getting to know you type phase, but also then, can I just share my screen with you? I'd like just to show you some of our building, you know, in a little video here, because when we go on the tour, unfortunately, you know, technology might not be that great, and I might actually lose you. So, you know, can I show you these, and I can absolutely email this to you afterwards. You know, that would be great if you'd like to receive, and that has been very, very positively received. That you being able to talk through these you know 5-6 slides, not a lot, and then, you know, and again linking the benefits of the building to the needs of the client. Okay, next slide. So starting the tour in the suite has actually also been quite beneficial. Again, if I'm able to give you the information to say, you know what, Mrs. Smith really doesn't care about the amenities, it's all about the actual care support level. So yes, please, can we start the tour on the second floor on memory care, and you know, our first sort of half an hour will be about her space, about the actual floor that you can show, about the programming, or equally, no, let's start in your office, because leaving your office to go and have a look at the main floor amenities is what's important to this lady, because she's fully IL and she wants to see where the lounge is and where the room to play cards is, and all that sort of stuff. So again, learning more about the person will not dictate, but give you more or maybe a better understanding as to where you should begin, based upon what's most important to them. That second point, get to know them before getting down to business, is what I've been talking about. And you know, we've got a saying in England, which is, don't teach your granny how to suck eggs, which basically means I am not telling you how to do your job at all, and do not want to come across sanctimonious at all, but I can't stress enough just the trying to form a bond, and it's so hard through a virtual screen. But just, you know, not even asking them what they're looking for. You know, oh, Mrs. Smith, what area of the city do you live in? Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful neighborhood. I used to take my kids to the park around the corner. You know, that sort of conversation that's not actually relevant to the retirement home even. It's just about getting to know the person more. And then once you've done that, you can say, actually, I'm in the suite right now. This is the suite that's available for you, and let me show you around it. So again, a lot of people have been, oh, really? Oh, wow, this is you're already here. Okay, that's excellent. And again, there's far less, or rather, it's a much smoother transition then from our initial talk to then this is where we are. Okay, slide 3. this slide speaks for itself. Reliable technology. Every single tour, I do believe, at some point has had something, whether it's a glitch, whether it's a freeze, whether it's a fallout, but we can mitigate it as much as possible. I mean, common sense, make sure you're fully charged. Make sure that if it's your iPad or your iPhone or your phone, that it's, you know, that it isn't gonna, it's not on its last legs, and it's gonna you know, stop working anyway. I would say Wi-Fi versus cell data. Take yourself off Wi-Fi and put yourself on data if you know that when you start moving, it's going to be glitchy and you're going to lose it. You know, in Ottawa, we should ultimately all be on 5G now, or certainly 4G, even in the buildings, that just make that a lot better. I've also asked the clients, you know, take yourself off video so the bandwidth is somewhat preserved, so the sales consultant is the only person who's on video, and if we're not on video, we can still see and we can still contribute, but we're not necessarily using up a lot of space as well. That last point, logging off if you know you'll lose connection, that is absolutely fine, absolutely fine. So, you know, if it's going to be a very short elevator ride from the second floor to the ground floor, okay, what have you. But if you're on the 7th floor and we're going to the basement, don't be afraid to say, you know what, ladies, I'm going to join you again in a couple of minutes in the basement, but right now I'm going to log off. It'll give you a couple of minutes to have a chat about what we've already seen, but I'll click back on again in a couple of moments. I'd rather that than, you know, we have a frozen screen or I lose you when I'm in the elevator. That is perfectly fine and really appreciated. It's also showing that, you know, you're thinking ahead, and that it does give me the chance to say to the prospect, oh, you know, that suite was actually fantastic. You know, can you you know, foresee mum in there? That sort of thing. Okay, slide 4. Flipping the camera at the right time. I think people are getting better at, but when we've got the camera, our eyes are up here. Okay, so what we're seeing from our actual eyes, we're seeing everything that's around us, and that's what me, the sales consultant, that's what you're seeing. What we're seeing on the camera though is totally different. So try having the camera up actually at your eye level, as opposed to here, chest level. And I can't see myself right now, so I really do hope that what you're seeing is accurate. Having it up at actually your eye level, so what you're seeing is what they're seeing. In a corridor, don't walk down the corridor with the camera. It makes us feel sick. Your walking pace and looking through the screen, we don't need to see that, but flipping the camera back to you and walking slowly so you're not getting out of breath and still having the conversation is perfect. If we are showing a corridor for, you know, how wide it is, that we've got handles, not handles, rails, how bright it is, how far away from the elevator the suite is, stay static at the elevators or at the room, and slowly pan the camera to show it, and then bring it back to you. And if you're then walking, as I say, down the corridor to get to the suite, just keep it on you and don't flip it to, you know, even see the door. Don't flip the camera until you've opened the door and we're about to walk in, and then start the flip of the camera at the door of the suite, so we get to see, you know, straight from what's in. Okay, next. Meeting others on the tour. Now, I know in person it's so much easier to say, oh look, this is Valerie, this is Samantha, and, you know, all that great stuff. Some really other good things that have happened with communities is that again with me being able to do liaison and to do coordination and helping you understand what the prospect is looking for. If you are able, not on every tour, but if you are able to introduce other members of your management team, even for 5 minutes, that makes a tremendous difference. If you're able to schedule, you know, the first 5 minutes with yourself, with the general manager, the director of care, activities person, culinary person, whatever it is that you've you know, figured out beforehand that really is important to them, it makes a tremendous difference. I will even say that I think the clients feel a little bit more valued, that these people, these managers, these decision makers, and those who are in authority are there on hand to be able to immediately answer their questions. It's not always possible, for sure, but certainly if we're dealing with you know, a family or a client that, you know, has some specifics, you know, that they've got a diet, you know, that they're getting anxious about, you know, being able to, even at this initial stage, meet the person who's in charge of the kitchen, and that's a huge sort of take, pardon the pun, it's a huge take off their plate. So those of you who are able to, you know, invite another member of staff in to start with, or to end with, it adds a tremendous amount of extra value. But yes, if we see other people on the tour, it's always nice to say, oh, look, this is Mary. She's our housekeeping lead and she's been with us for 15 years. You know, get buy-in, you know your community, you know the residents, you know the staff, introduce them to the family on the tour. Okay, next. Okay, and having resources to show, I found is really, really important. And again, shows extra value. Now, these are all things that you can email afterwards, of course, but if you have, you know, a newsletter, a brochure, your activity calendar, a sample menu, and you actually have them to hand when you're talking about what happens. Oh yes, you know, today actually we've got 6 activities happening. We've got blah, blah, and blah, blah, and after lunch we've got blah, blah. It's again sort of more authority as to what you have, and rather than just being able to say, oh, we've got an activity calendar, I'll send it to you. You're still going to be sending it, but just as I say, having it to hand means you're all up together and you're able to show them, oh, for lunch today we've got an open-faced steak sandwich, or you've got a choice of salmon. You know, it's there in front of you, and again, this word authority, you're speaking with authority, you're answering their questions, and you've got these sort of physical things to show. And then absolutely, I'm going to send these to you, Mrs. Smith, afterwards. Is there anything else that you'd like me to include? I've got our recent newsletter, I've got our activity calendar, I've got our menu. Would you like some more floor plans, or, you know, can I get you the measurements of the suite we've just seen? What else can you provide to them that is going to make them think, you know what, this last half an hour has got me, you know, I really, really, really want to go and see this building, this property, because I'm very encouraged by what I've already seen. Okay, next. And then the affirmations of asking how they feel. And again, throughout the whole experience, you know, taking time for pause and you know, they are leading questions, but, you know, can you see mum here? Another lady who has this exact same suite down the corridor, she's got a lovely setup. She has her bed on this wall, and then she has a little table, and she has her easy chair is right here by the window, and, you know, we're looking out onto the park. So this is how she has it set up. You can obviously do it exactly as you like, but that certainly fits the space very, very well. You know, do you like the space? If it's an empty space, again, it's usually hard to visualize, which is why saying this is where we put furniture and this is where this is can, you know, link those benefits. Certainly if it's furnished, or it's a model, or it's got a kitchenette, you know, it's a lot sort of somewhat easier for them to see, because as you know, space and time are totally different through a lens than they are in person. Sometimes it can look bigger, sometimes it can look smaller. So certainly being able to sort of plant the seeds of, you know, a bed can go here, this is where the television's plugged for, but, you know, you can certainly have it on the other wall if you'd like. I mean, again, so many of us are doing this already, but I think sort of the main takeaway, I think, is trying to build a buy-in of linking the benefits of your establishment with the needs of this individual. Okay. So there we go. A recap then. Camera etiquette really is huge. Panning slowly cannot be underestimated. If you think you're going too slow, you're not. If you think you might be going fast, you are. So just always super, super slow will be perfect. Keep the camera at your eye level. So you're physically seeing through the camera lens what's there. Walk slowly. That's both if the camera is pointing outwards, although it really shouldn't. If you're walking, please have the camera back on you. We want to hear you speak. We want to hear you talk. We don't want to be stood waiting for the elevator and just looking at the elevators while you're talking. We want to see you, even if you're in a mask, even if you're in a visor. It's still that sort of interaction. And don't walk with the camera down the hallway. If we're looking at the hallway, let's look at it from a static place, and again a slow pan, and then back on you right till we get to the suite. The expectations, what can and can't be accomplished. Yeah, I mean, this is all learning for all of us. It's learning, you know, very much for the clients. Most of them have taken really well to the fact that this is our new normal. They've sort of tried to embrace the technology. We do use Zoom. I would say Zoom is 95% more than Google Meets, but we do them both. And I've only done like 1 or 2 FaceTimes, but again, that is some people's preference. But follow-ups and calls, you know, we've got this today, and you know, we might only have 40 minutes of time, but I'm absolutely here afterwards. I can send you this information. I can send you, you know, additional photographs, and be honest, like going right back to the beginning. As I say, you know, try and maybe put together, if you don't already have one, put together a small presentation of rooms or areas that you know you're not going to be able to get to, because as soon as you get to there, it's, you know, it's in the basement and your Wi-Fi is going to cut out. You know, show those spaces ahead of time, and then, you know, send it over afterwards. Okay, I think that's it for our slides. And any questions anybody has put into Rachel already on the chat, or anybody who wants to take their mics off and ask questions of any of us, please, you're very welcome to. My gosh, we're at 12:30 on the nose.
I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but now's your chance. Caroline's been on 165 tours, so
162. Don't over promote me, Rach.
Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Karen.
It's Karen. Good. Hi. Thank you. I did, as usual, take notes, and I have had some good feedback over the last few months. But again, I've highlighted 3 or 4 things that you mentioned that really didn't, weren't top of mind for me, that I will now apply. So I think it's great information, and it's really nice to get the feedback from the other sets of eyes that are on the tour, right? Because some of those things you just don't realize. It's all things that totally make sense and are common sense, but you just don't realize when you're not on the other side of the camera.
And again, thank you. That's very much appreciated. And yes, I mean, you're right. You're trying to do the best job you can, and trying to morph from what would be in person to now what is behind the camera. And you know, trying to show your community off to the very best. And you're right. Some things are just going to be oversights, or some things just aren't going to be doable or possible. But appreciate your comments for sure. Thank you. Okay, well, if there's nothing more, we've done our half an hour. Again, sincere thanks to everybody for your time. Do hope that you have learned something. I'm an open book, so please don't hesitate ever to reach out to me, phone or email, just to have a chat about anything, or to talk more in depth offline about anything that I've mentioned or that the ladies have mentioned. A genuine pleasure, and I really hope to be speaking to all of you soon with a lot more referrals. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, thank you, Caroline. And I want to note, I'll be sending out the presentation. We've recorded it, and I'll be sending it out to everyone who registered today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.